Again, good afternoon. We are now on chapter 2. We are now on chapter 2 of our textbook. And this chapter is entitled Basic Representation and Operations. Basic operations lang to with four systems. Basic operations with four systems. We've already been introduced sa ating physics class kung anong forces na bukod sa unit niya na Newton. Okay, ang definition ng force, which is it is an interaction between two bodies. Nalaman din natin doon that forces may be classified as a contact force. Ibig sabihin, kailangan niya there is a physical contact, magkadikit or touch by touch yung ating dalawang objects. And pwede rin naman siyang non-contact forces na tinatawag, kagaya ng gravity or gravitational force. Hindi kailangan ng tawag dito, physical contact, hindi kailangan magkadikit para lang magkaroon ng interaction. And na-discuss din natin about force, or alam din natin about force na meron siyang components kasi ang force is a vector quantity. And from chapter 1, napag-aralan natin na very useful ang vector algebra. In-introduce sa atin yun, yung paggamit ng sa 3D, lalo na sa 3D, very useful ang vector algebra. Okay, yung pagkuha natin ng resultant of forces gamit ang vector algebra, IJK, yung mga yon. So, this time, magiging, at this chapter, magiging mas lalong evident sa atin kung gaano siya ka-helpful itong vector algebra na to. Meron tayong tinatawag na bukod sa classification ng forces na contact or non-contact, merong type ng force na tinatawag natin concurrent forces. Pag sinabi natin concurrent forces, yung forces ay nag-intersect. So, a couple of forces, two or more forces, will intersect at the same point. Yun yung tinatawag natin concurrent forces. Meron din naman tayong tinatawag na non-concurrent, of course. Yung kabaliktaran ng concurrent, non-concurrent, which of course will not intersect at the same and only one point. Yung concurrent forces ay dahil nga they will intersect at some point, as we will learn later, malalaman natin mamaya, pwede natin silang through equivalence of vectors, pwede nating i-reduce ang concurrent force systems or maraming forces na nag-intersect at some point, i-reduce natin yan into a single force, okay, by equivalence of vectors. Later on, we will talk about that. Yung non-concurrent forces naman, para ma-reduce natin siya, kakailangan natin siya ng there are two topics or two ideas or two concepts sa forces na yung tinatawag nating moment of forces and of course couple. So, we will also discuss these two later on sa ating discussion. Okay. Doon sa, sabi ko nga, sa concurrent forces, pwede nating i-reduce yung force systems, concurrent force system into a single force using the equivalence of vectors na tinatawag natin. Okay, under force equivalence, sa mechanics, ang tawag natin sa equivalence is interchangeability. Ibig sabihin, pwede nating pagpalit-palitin or palitan yung vector ng another vector, which kapag pinalitan natin yun ng panibagong vector is wala namang magbabago dun sa outcome mismo ng problem. Okay? Pwede natin siyang palitan in such a way na yung outcome, yung result is hindi magbabago. Okay, hindi po parehas sa mechanics hindi parehas ang salitang equivalence sa equal. Okay? Pag sinabi kasi nating equal, okay, pwede silang maging equal, yung vectors pwedeng maging equal, pero pwedeng hindi sila magkaparehas ng magiging outcome pag pinalitan natin. Okay? So the two terms, equivalence and equivalent, ay hindi synonymous. Magkaiba po yung ibig sabihin nun. Okay, sa equivalence, basta ang tandaan natin sa equivalence, pwede nating pagpalitin yung dalawang vectors basta't hindi mapapalitan yung outcome or result ng problem. And under equivalence, meron tayong three types ng vectors.
Sir,
Yes?
sir, may may screen presentation po ba?
Oo.
Wala po kasi dito eh.
Hindi ko ba na-share? Okay. Under equivalence ng vectors, pwede natin i-classify ang any physical quantity, which is a vector of course, as a fixed vector, a sliding vector, or a free vector. And of course, the definition of each is presented in this slide. Pag sinabi natin fixed vector, yung dalawang equivalent vectors ay merong parehas na magnitude and direction, and at the same time, meron siyang parehas na point of application. Pag sliding vector, parehas ng magnitude and direction, pero hindi na sila parehas ng point of application, pero parehas pa rin sila ng line of action. Later on, di-define natin yung line of action na yan. Kapag free vector naman, parehas yung equivalent vectors na may parehas lang na magnitude and direction. So any of the physical quantities or vectors can be classified according to these three classifications of equivalent vectors. Balikan natin yung force. Okay. As what I've said earlier, force is the term assigned to mechanical interactions between bodies. At ayun nga, pwedeng non-contact tsaka contact force siya. Examples is yung contact, tension, friction, yun yung mga contact forces. Yung non-contact forces, sila yung gravity, electromagnetic force. Under force, meron pa tayong tinatawag na concentrated force. Pag sinabi natin concentrated force, yung force, of course, it is a contact force. Okay, kailangan ng contact. Ina-apply natin siya sa very small area. Okay. Sometimes, ina-approximate na siya as a point. Okay, lalo na kung rigid yung body. Okay, and lalo na rin kung yung area ng application is sobrang liit, okay, it can be approximated as a point. Okay, yun yung definition ng concentrated force. Concentrated, di ba? Parang focus na focus yung force sa iisang region lang or iisang area lang. Okay. Small enough that it can be approximated as a point. Ang tawag natin dun sa area or yung very small area is called the point of application. Yun yung contact point. Kung saan mismo in-apply yung force or concentrated force, yun yung tinatawag nating point of application. Yung line of action naman is a line that passes through the point of application at parallel siya dun sa force natin. So, for example, dito, kunwari itong point na to, in-applyan natin yan ng force. In-applyan ko yan ng force. Ayan, force. So, of course, this is the point of application, yung dot mismo, kasi dyan natin i-apply. Yung line of action, actually, pwede mo siyang, yan, lalagyan mo lang siya ng dotted line. Yan yung line of action na tinatawag. Kung saan dumaan yung force at passes through the point of application, it must be parallel. Actually, if you could extend yung arrow ng force, Okay, yung arrow mismo, yun mismo yung line of application. Basta yung dinaanan ng force, nadadaan mismo dun sa point ng application, yun yung tinatawag nating line of action. Okay. In terms of the equivalence ng vector, force can be regarded as a fixed vector. Okay, for example, okay, meron tayo ditong tatlong figures. Is a figure A, so itong figure A, B to C, wala yung C na putol. Yung pangatlo, figure C, meron tayong bar na in-apply natin ng force. Okay, P, that is the same force, equal in magnitude. At figure A, equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So, imagine niyo yan kung bar yan, in-apply natin yan ng force. Anong mangyayari dun sa ating bar? Solid na metal, sabihin natin solid na metal. Tapos in-applyan mo ng sobrang lakas na force. Mangyayari is may hila, di ba? Magkakaroon ng elongation. The forces P are tension or tensile forces kasi they are applied or palabas. Okay? They are going out. Ang direction nila is away, outside from the point of contact. So, tension yan. At ang tendency niya, because hinihila mo siya, mag-elongate yung body natin. Okay? Assuming na deformable yung body na yan. For point B, ni-reverse natin yung direction ng ating force P, di same papasok. So, ano naman ang mangyayari? Di ba? Mako-compress naman siya. Magkakaroon naman tayo ng compression. Still, parehas yung magnitude ni point or ni force P. At figure letter C or yung nasa pinakababa, imbis na dalawa na yung point of action, okay, ang pinag-applyan na lang natin ng point of application na lang natin is point A. And because the force on the left is equal to the force on the right, at parehas naman yung ating point of application which is point A, walang deformation dyan. Hindi yan mag-elongate, hindi rin yan magko-compress kasi equal. They will cancel each other lang kasi they are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Exactly opposite in direction. So, walang mangyari kay point A. Steady lang siya. Okay, so if we consider yung deformation na tinatawag, pag sinabi nating deformation, okay, sa mechanics of deformable bodies, kapag consider natin yung body o yung bagay as deformable, ibig sabihin nagde-deform. Ibig sabihin nagbabago yung length, nagbabago yung volume. Okay, pag in-applyan mo, hahaba siya, nag-elongate ng force, or pag in-applyan ng tension. Pag in-applyan mo ng compression, mako-compress. Okay, liliit. Masisiksik. Okay. Ang tawag natin doon, deformation. And since kinonsider natin yung deformation, as you can see, pare-parehas naman yung in-apply natin ng force, di ba? They are also in the same line of action. Okay? Parehas ang magnitude, parehas ang direction, parehas din yung line of action. Pero anong nangyayari? Magkakaiba sila ng result. That is why it is called a fixed vector. Di ba yun yung definition ng fixed vector kanina? Okay, if you can, balikan lang natin. Ito pala, itong tatlong to. Okay. Masasabi natin siyang equivalent vector kung parehas ang magnitude, direction, at saka point of application. So, considering this example, at dahil hindi natin ni-neglect no, yung ating hindi natin ni-neglect yung tinatawag nating deformation, yung application ng force is one property ng vector o ng force. Kaya, in this instance, kapag kinonsider natin yung body as a deformable body, ibig sabihin kinonsider natin yung deformation or yung external effects, masasabi natin na fixed vector yung force. Okay? Pero kapag hindi natin kinonsider yung deformation, ibig sabihin nun, kapag kinonsider natin siya as a rigid body, nasa na yung panulat ko? Ayan. Okay. Pag kinonsider natin siyang rigid body, ibig sabihin hindi nagde-deform, non-deformable. Ibig sabihin walang external effects, deformable. Ibig sabihin, walang epekto, walang external effects dun sa, hindi magde-deform yung body sa pag-apply ng force pag sinabi mong rigid body. In this example, pag kinonsider mo na siyang rigid body, or in this instance, once na nineglect mo yung deformation or yung deformability ng isang bagay at kinonsider mo siya as a rigid body, yung force na ina-apply natin dito sa figures na to, i-consider na natin as a sliding vector na. No? Kasi hindi na natin, yung point of application ng force will not matter na. Okay? Saan na lang ang magmamatter? Ang magmamatter na lang is yung line of action. Itong A, B, and C, magiging parehas na. No, because according to the line of action, di ba? Opposite direction, yung dalawang force pero equal in magnitude. Kapag kinonsider mo yung line of action and kapag kinonsider mo na rigid siya, ibig sabihin hindi siya magde-deform, hindi ito mag-elongate. And yung effect ng A, ng B, at ng C ay magiging parehas lang. Wala nga siyang epekto dun sa rigid body kasi yung force natin is equal but in opposite direction. Parang magka-cancel out lang yung forces. It's because nineglect nga natin, okay, nineglect natin na yung fact na magde-deform yung body. Ngayon, kung tatanungin nyo ako sa real life, meron at meron talagang deformation. No, lahat ng bagay talaga deformable siya. Meron at meron niyang deformation. However, kasi nakadepende rin sa klase ng material. Kung sobrang tibay ng material, for example, steel yan, okay, or kunwari diamond, no, magde-deform siya pero sobrang liit na. Yung deformation niya nasa micrometers na. Halos in comparison to the total length nung ating original object, sobrang liit na. Negligible na yung deformation na yon. Okay? Kaya a practical or an ideal approach is kapag hindi sobrang liit naman ng deformation, i-consider na natin yung body as a rigid body. Kaya nga, 'di ba, yung subject nyo dito is statics of rigid body. Kasi kino-consider natin yung mga bagay dito as rigid. Ibig sabihin, matigas. Ibig sabihin, nine-neglect natin yung fact na merong deformation yung body. Okay? So, dito, kapag rigid yung body, consider natin yung force as a sliding vector. Ibig sabihin, hindi tayo very particular dun sa point of application. Particular lang tayo dun sa line of action. Kung saan yung force ay in-apply. So, under considering that a body is a rigid and that under these circumstances a force is a sliding vector, we can summarize it actually and conclude it sa tinatawag nating principle of transmissibility. That means that a force may be moved anywhere along its line of action without changing external effects on a rigid body. So, balikan natin ito. Yung force P on point B, it doesn't matter na kung saang point mo siya in-apply. Basta't nasa iisang line of action ka lang, kahit dito mo yan i-apply, basta't nasa isang line of action ka lang, parehas lang yung magiging epekto nun dun sa rigid body because we've already neglected the external effects. Yun yung principle of transmissibility. Pwede mong iusog-usog yung mga forces. Okay, and this principle is very useful, no, para ma-reduce natin yung force systems, concurrent man yan o non-concurrent. Kagaya nga nito, meron tayong forces dyan, P, Q, and S, para-para silang may 20 Newton na magnitude. Okay? Mathematically, dahil para-para sila ng magnitude, para-para yan, P equals Q equals S. Okay? However, yung P and Q lang ang magkakaroon ng parehas na external effect kasi parehas sila ng line of action. Magkalinya sila. Okay? So, tanggalin mo man si Q ay si P or tanggalin mo man si Q or pagsabayin mo man si P and Q, parehas lang yung magiging effect niyan kasi they are in the same line of action. Okay. Unlike S, hindi siya parehas kasi wala siya dun sa line of action ni P and Q. Hindi siya kalinya. Sabi ni P at Q kay S, you don't belong here. 'Di ba? Kasi hindi ka namin kalinya. Itong principle na to is very useful sa pag-reduce natin ng mga concurrent force systems. Okay, ito lang naman yung ating rule. How to reduce concurrent force systems. Ibig sabihin, two or many forces na na iisa lang ang point of application. So, for example, meron tayo ditong force F1, F2, and F3. By the principle of transmissibility, pwede mong iusog yung F1, F2, and F3. Iusog sila sa kanilang line of action in such a way na magdidikit-dikit na ngayon. And as you can see, by doing so, ang mangyayari is para na tayo nagkaroon ng sa vector algebra natin, position vector, di ba? Kamukha niya na yung mga position vector natin na sinolve dun sa chapter 1 natin or vector algebra. In that way, pwede nating i-apply ngayon kung ano man yung ating napag-aralan because forces are vectors. So, pwede nating gamitin yung vector algebra dito sa reduction ng concurrent force systems. In such a way na para ma-reduce yan, ibig sabihin, para mahanap yung single force na merong same effects as yung tatlong yan ng pinagsama-sama, i-apply lang natin yung vector addition o yung pagkuha ng resultant force. Kagaya nga nito. Itong F1, F2, and F3, pwede nating express as R, which is the sum of the two or three vectors. Hindi lang siya tatlo, no? Pwedeng dalawa or pwede ring marami. 3 or more. Okay, vectors yan. At yung pag pinag-add natin yung F1, F2, and F3, itong resultant force na R, this is the single force na parehas ang magiging epekto kapag pinagsama-sama ngayon yung tatlong yan. And of course, sa natutunan natin sa algebra, vector algebra, okay, pwede nating hati-hatiin yung components ni R, no? Pwedeng, yung x component niya is sum ng components ng mga forces along x, yung y, sum ng forces along y, and yung z component ni R, sum ng forces along z. Okay. Para maintindihan natin yan, isolve natin itong example sa libro. Determine daw the resultant force of the three concurrent forces shown below. Okay. Kapag ganito lang naman at 2D lang tayo, ng Cartesian plane, huwag na tayong gumamit ng vector algebra. Although pwede pa rin naman nating i-apply yung vector algebra dito, gamitin yung mga directions I, J, and of course, wala tayong component sa direction ni K kasi nga 2D lang. Kaya walang K or walang resultant force natin, walang component sa K. Kasi on the first place, yung tatlong component or yung tatlong forces natin, F1, F2, and F3, wala naman sila talagang component din sa Z. So, pag pinag-add natin, wala ring magiging component yung ating resultant sa Z direction. So, walang K sa K direction pala. Pero, sabi ko nga, mas madali kung i-apply na lang natin siya. Gamitin na lang natin yung natutunan natin sa physics, yung two-dimensional. So, meron na siyang component sa X, meron siyang component sa Y. So, i-solve natin. Solve muna natin. I-breakdown natin si F1. Si F1, magkakaroon yan ng X component. So, F1X. And then, magkakaroon din siya ng Y component, F1Y. And that is F cosine ng angle. F1 cosine theta, F2 cosine theta, yung Y, F1 sin theta naman. Sir, anong gagamitin natin angle? Hindi naman given. Yung sa F2 lang ang given angle. Si F1, meron siyang gilagay na triangle, no? Nag-form siya ng right triangle. 3, 4, and the hypotenuse is 5. Okay. Minsan, ganito yung pagbibigay natin ng angle. Okay. That means, yung angle mo daw is ito yon, theta, 3, 4, 5. So, kapag kinuha mo yung cosine ng angle theta, so katoa, diba? So, adjacent over hypotenuse. Ang adjacent natin is 3, hypotenuse natin is 5. Paano nyo nakuha yung 5, sir? Wala naman nakalagay na 5. I-apply mo lang yung Pythagorean theorem. Kasi right triangle naman yan, 3, 4, 5. And from the same way, makukuha natin that sin theta is equal to, so, opposite 4 all over hypotenuse, 5. Okay, and therefore, masasolve mo na si F1x is equal to F1, 50 newtons, 50 times 3/5, and that is equal to 30 newtons. The y component naman ng ating F1 is 50 times sine, which is 4/5, and that is equal to 40 newtons. How about F2? Yung direction ng components, ito yung F1x. So, sa positive x direction siya, kaya positive din. Si F1y nandito naman. So, pataas din siya, kaya positive din. So, walang problema. Dito tayo kay F2. Yan, meron siyang given na angle. And that angle is measured on the x-axis. Kaya, pwede pa rin natin i-apply yung SOHCAHTOA natin. X for cosine, Y for sine. So, F2x ay F2 cosine theta. F2y is F2 sine ng theta. However, as you can see, yung ating x component ay nasa direction ng negative x-axis. Kaya lalagyan natin ng negative x or negative F2 yung F2x. On the other hand, yung F2y naman po is positive. So, walang kaso, hindi mo na siya kailangan lagyan pa ng negative. Given naman po yung angle na 60, yung value ni F2 na 10. So, we can solve that F2x is equal to negative 10 cosine of 60, and that is equal to 5 newtons, and F2y is equal to positive 10 sine of 60, and that is equal to 8.66 Newton. Yung ating F3, walang problema kasi wala siyang angle, directly ano lang siya, downward. So negative 60 newtons 'yon, no? At saka nasa Y lang siya. And then ang gagawin na lang natin, so tandaan natin 'yan, although pwede naman tayong mag-back. Magsa-summation na lang tayo. So yung resultant or x component ng resultant is equal to summation ng mga x component ng forces. And then yung R o yung y component ng ating resultant R, okay, nakakalimutan kong maglagay ng arrow, no, para i-denote siya as a vector, is equal to, although magnitude naman pala tong mga to, okay, magnitude pa lang, is equal to the summation naman ng y component. Okay, balikan natin yung ating nakuha. Okay, meron tayong f1x at saka f2x sa x direction. Okay, yung f3 wala siyang x component kasi directly downward po yung kanyang direction. Kaya sa rx, f1x plus f2x lang. So, ang x component ng ating resultant, okay, isasama natin yung sign. So, f1x is positive 30 newtons, and then f2x is, negative 5 pala dapat ito, kasi negative 10 cosine 60 yun. And that would give us 30 minus 5. Therefore, ang x component ng resultant natin is 25 newtons. Doon naman po sa y component, meron tayong f1y, meron tayong f2y, at meron tayong f3. Okay? Si f3 kasi pure y siya, ibig sabihin nasa y direction siya. Kaya f3 lang lalagay natin. That means, kunin natin yung values natin. Si f1y po natin is 40 newtons. Positive. F2y is 8.66 newtons, positive also. Si F3 is negative 60 kasi pababa po yung direction niya. So 40 plus 8.66 minus 60. That will give us
negative 11.34.
Negative 11.34 newtons. Okay, yan na yung Rx and Ry natin. Yun, paano natin kukunin ngayon, sir, yung R na? Okay, kasi yun yung hinahanap resultant. Pythagorean theorem lang. Rx squared plus Ry squared. Wala tong pinagkaiba dun sa sinolve natin sa physics for engineers, yung sa velocity into dimension, ganun, projectile motion, ganyan na ganyan yan. So, square root ng 25 squared plus negative 11.34 squared. So, ang magnitude ng R na yun natin is equal to 27.45 newtons. Yun po yung magnitude. Paano po kukunin ang direction? Okay. Theta equals arctangent ng Ry all over Rx. Or that is equal to arctangent ng, ang Ry po natin is negative 11.34. Ang ating Rx ay 25. And that gives us theta be equal to
negative 24.39.
Okay, isama natin yung ating a negative sign. Kaya negative 24.39.
40 na sir pag nag-round off.
Okay, 40. 24.40 degrees. So, anong itsura niyan pag plinat or grinaph mo yung ating resultant force? Dahil negative 24 yan, dito ka, clockwise yung magiging ating measurement ng angle. So, nandito yan. So, negative 24 yan. So, 24 degrees to. Negative is yung lang direction, no? 24.4 degrees. And yung magnitude niya is 27.45. Yan na yun. So, hindi tayo gumamit ng vector algebra kasi ganun lang din naman. Tawag dito, 2D lang. Mas madali kasi kung 2D. Although, ganun lang din naman kapag gagamitin mo yung vector algebra. No, i-solve mo pa rin naman yung x and y component. So, for example, pag in-express mo si f1 as a vector siya, okay, i-add mo lang siya. So, dito, ang x component niya is 30, tapos 40. So, ibig sabihin, 30 siya dun sa I, di ba? 30i yon kasi 30 yung x component niya. Ibig sabihin, 30 dun sa x direction. And di ba yung x direction, dinidenote natin as a unit vector I plus 40j. And then again, wala siyang k kasi 2D lang tayo. Tapos, ganun din naman yung F2, kung ano yung na-solve mo kanina, na F2x and F2y, ganun din po. Okay, yung F2x niya, negative 5 newtons. So, negative 5i plus 8.66 j. And then, yung F3 is purely nandun lang siya sa negative y direction, which is negative 60. So, negative 60 j. And of course, meron yung unit na newton, bawat isa. And then, paano natin kukunin yung resultant force? I-add lang natin. So, i-add mo lang yung I, i-add mo lang din yung J. I to I, J to J. And as you can see, parehas na parehas lang yung mangyayari. No? Kagaya ng ginawa natin, i-add natin yung mga magnitude ng forces in the X direction, tapos separate yung sa Y direction. Okay. And then, para kunin yung magnitude, i-square root mo lang ulit ng gaya ng Pythagorean theorem. Okay. So, sa madaling sabi, para sa akin kapag 2D lang naman yan, mas maganda na lang na gumamit tayo ng tinatawag nating component method or graphical method kaysa gumamit ng vector algebra. Si vector algebra, very useful siya kapag 3D. Let's move on to the next example. Okay, tinry kong kunin yung nandito sa given na sa example, kaso yung in-screenshot ko kasi na image is hindi matanggal. Hindi ko na-edit. Kaya, although parehas naman yung problem sa textbook natin, iba lang yung unit niya. So, I think you can still learn. So, dito, meron tayong tatlong ropes. We have 3 ropes attached at post to the post at A. At yan yung mga kanilang magnitudes. Hanapin daw natin yung magnitude ng R, which is equivalent to the 3 forces, and then yung coordinates of the point where the line of action of R intersects Y, Z. Ano bang itsura? Ito. Yan. So, isulat ko na dito yung value ng F1, 260, 75, 60. 260 pounds, 75 pound force yan, no? 60. Ayan. So, as you can see, 3D na tayo. Meron tayong X and Y, Z na direction. And, kailangan nating i-write yung ating forces in using using vector representation na ng vectors in 3-dimensional. So, meron na tayong I, J, and K. Okay. Kung matatandaan nyo yung ating any vector can be written as yung magnitude niya times yung direction niya, diba? Multiplied to its direction. Dun sa magnitude, wala tayong problema kasi given naman po yung 260. Okay, ang direction nga lang ni F1 and of course F2 and F3 ay magdedepende doon sa kung ano man yung given dun sa figure. Pero as you can see, yung ating F1, okay, consider yung force F1, saan siya connected? Siya ay connected from point A to point B. Okay, yun yung line of action niya. So, ibig sabihin, yun din yung magiging direction niya. So, kukunin na lang natin yung position vector AB. Yun na yung magiging direction. Okay. Pero kailangan naka-unit vector siya, di ba? Paano kunin yung unit vector? In the direction of AB, of course, yung vector AB itself divided by the position vector AB itself divided by the magnitude of the position vector. Yan po yung ating magiging direction. Solve muna natin. So, lagay ko muna siya as yan. Unit vector AB, lambda, which is equal to 260 times the position vector AB divided by the magnitude of AB itself para makuha yung unit vector. Okay, paano kunin yung AB? Paano ba kinukuha yung position vector AB? Pag minus lang natin yung components niya, diba? Ano ba yung point A? Okay, identify muna natin lahat ng points. Dito na lang, sa baba. Yung point A, saan siya nakaposisyon? Saan yung location niya? Yung point A is 3 feet from the y-axis and 12 feet, ayun o, kalinya si C, okay, 12 feet naman from the z-axis. So, meron siyang x, which is 3. As you can see here, ang x niya ay 3. Tapos, ang y niya ay 12. Pero wala siyang z. Kasi nandun siya mismo sa xy plane. Diba? Hindi siya umangat. Hindi rin siya bumaba. So, 0 yung kanyang z. Yung point B, nasaan yung point B? Si point B naman is 4 feet above the z plane or the xy plane pala. 4 feet papunta kay z in the positive z direction. Ang hindi din siya gumalaw sa x and y direction. So, 0, 0, 4 siya doon. 4 feet. Okay, and point C, okay, ano naman si point C? 12 feet dito siya sa Y, tapos 4 feet naman siya sa 4 feet pataas sa Z, then siya naman is wala siyang X. So, 0, 4, 12, 4. Ayan. So, kapag ginukuha natin yung position vector AB, ang gagawin natin is yung position or location ni B minus A. At pagsasamahin mo lang, I to I, J to J, K to K. So, yung point B muna, si point B is 4K. No, kasi wala siyang X, wala siyang Y, wala siyang I direction, wala siyang J direction. 4 lang. Tapos, ima-minus mo yan sa A. Ano sa A? 3, 12, 0. 3I plus 12J then wala siyang k. Therefore, ang AB natin is negative 3i. I-arrange lang natin siya in ijk, negative 12j, and wala ka namang masisimplify dyan kasi iba-iba sila ng direction. So, ang gagawin mo lang is simplify or i-distribute lang mo lang yung negative sign and then rearrange mo lang siya. Positive 4k. Yan si AB. Ano ngayon ang magnitude ng position vector AB? Paano na ulit kumuha ng magnitude? Negative 3 squared, negative 12 squared, 4 squared. Tapos, kukunin mo yung square root. Hindi pala kasya yung aking. Ay. So, ano yung makukuha natin?
13, sir.
Square root.
13. So, ang ating magnitude is 13.
13.
Okay. So, yung F1 ngayon natin would be equal to 260 times vector yung AB, no? So, negative 3i, kukopyahin mo lang, vector dapat yan, kasi dapat vector yung lumabas yan, kasi force nga yan, divided by 13. So, simplify mo lang yan. Direkta na natin. 260 all over 13 times 3 or negative 3, negative 60. Negative 60i negative 240j
Negative 240J.
plus 80k. Okay, F1 pa lang tayo, no? Ayan. Meron pang F2 and F3. Okay, i-box lang muna natin tong F1 para mamaya balikan natin. So, ganun din ang gagawin natin kay F2. Okay, sunod na natin sa F2. So, solving for F2, as you can see, ang direction naman this time ni F2 is yung direction ng position vector AC naman siya, from point A to point C. So, kapag pinag-subtract naman natin yung AC dito, so, solving for F2 dito tayo sa kabila. Nasaan na yun? AC, position vector is equal to C minus A, and that is equal to, ang point C natin is 0, 12, 4. Ibig sabihin, wala siyang I, pero meron siyang 12J at meron siyang 4K, minus, tanggalin ko na itong parenthesis. Si A is 3, 12, 0. So, 3I plus 12J, wala siyang K. And that is equal to 12J plus 4K. Distribute mo yung negative sign, minus 3I minus 12J. And as you can see, makakancel po yung ating J. 12J minus 12J is 0. So, ang matitira lang for AC or position vector AC is negative 3I plus 4K. At ang kanyang magnitude ay the square root of negative 3 squared plus 4 squared. Wala siyang J, kaya dalawa lang. And that is equal to
5, sir.
positive 5. Therefore, solving for F2, vector F2 is equal to, ano yung magnitude niya kanina? 75 times AC negative 3I plus 4K divided by magnitude na AC 5. F2 is therefore equal to
Negative 45I plus 60K.
negative 45I plus 60K. May problema ba kay F3? Tingnan natin yung figure niya. Si F3 is directly, nandun lamang siya sa direction ni Y. Tama ba? Y direction lang siya. Negative Y to be specific. Negative Y direction. Wala siyang direction sa X and Z. As you can see, ito sa F3. So, ang kanyang direction is negative 60 J lamang. Kaya ang ano natin, ang kanyang, sorry. O tama, diretso na yon, negative 60 J na yon. Kasi wala naman tayong position vector. Kasi nasa Y direction siya. Kaya ang direction niya, negative J na. Yun yung direction niya. Hindi mo na kailangan ng unit vector. So, para ma-solve na ngayon yung resultant vector, ang gagawin lang natin, isa-add lang natin yung tatlong vector na yan. And therefore, ano yung nakuha nating F1? Negative 60, negative 240, 80. Negative 60. Okay, direct ako na kasi plus naman yan. No, hindi ko nalalagyan ng parenthesis. Negative 60 I minus 240J plus 80K. This is F1. F2 is negative 45 I plus 60K. And F3 is minus 60J. Iko-combine lang po natin yung mga like terms o yung mga same ang direction, and that is negative 60 and negative 45 sa I direction, negative 105 I. Sa J direction, we have negative 240 and negative 60, so that is negative 300 J. And for the K direction, we have positive 80 plus 60, 140 K. And yan na po. Yan na po ang ating resultant vector. Hinahanap ba yung magnitude niya? Okay, yes.
Sir.
Magnitude of the force pala. So, kailangan nating ang gagawin yung square root para makuha yung magnitude. Square root ng negative 105 squared plus negative 300 squared plus 140 squared.
347.31, sir.
347.31
Pound.
pound. Okay. Yun na yung sagot for number 1. Any questions? Okay, if mag-graph mo yan roughly, ano magiging itsura niya? Ayan, drawing tayo. Ang negative 105 na direction ng I is dito, diba? Tapos negative 300 is papunta dito, then positive 400 is nandito sa taas. So, ito yung z-axis huwag kakalimutan. Ito yung y, ito yung x. So, kung nandito yung point A natin, tapos nandito yung direction ni R, o yung ating vector, so papunta siyang ganyan. So, basically, lulusot at lulusot siya dito sa x, y, or z, y plane, or y, z plane. Para siyang lulusot siya. Ang tanong is, saan siya lulusot dyan? Okay, gaano kataas? Anong x, or anong z, and anong y value yung lulusotan niya? Kasi obviously, dahil y, z plane yan, 0 yung x mo dyan na part. Pero meron kang value ni z and y. So, ano yung lulusotan niya? Saan niya mai-intersect yung y, z plane? Yun yung tanong. And kapag dinonawin mo yung R, ito nga yun. Basically, ang gagawin mo lang dito is magpo-proportional na tayo kasi para tayo nakakapag-form, hindi ko alam kung makita niyo yung perspective, para lang tayo nag-create ng series of or two similar right triangles lang. Ganyan siya. Tapos ito yung plane. Ayan, so parang meron tayong mas malaking triangle, right triangle, na yung hypotenuse is yung R, and then meron tayong mas maliit na right triangle, na yung hypotenuse is yung length lang, mula sa A, papunta dun sa YZ plane. Ito yun. Tapos yung R, yung didiretso dun. So, para lang tayong merong two similar right triangles. And, di ba, kapag sa geometry, paano natin sinasolve yan? Nagre-ratio and proportion lang tayo. So, kung alam natin yung ang proportion or yung measurements ng dalawang sides, pwede na nating makita rin na yung ibang side gamit yung ratio nila. Kasi yung dalawang corresponding sides ng dalawang similar triangles or similar right triangles, yung ratio nila is parehas sa ratio ng iba pang corresponding sides ng right triangles. So, yung na-solve natin na R, ang component niya is 105, negative 105 I minus, ano yun? Negative 300J plus 40 ba yun? O 140K? 140K. Okay. Parehas sila actually. Parehas sila na nasa itong ating papunta kay D, yung hinahanap natin na smaller right triangle, no, meron lang siyang x value or x coordinate na 3. Tapos, yung malakang right triangle, ito yung maliit. Yung malaki, ano yung I direction ng R natin? Negative 105. Equal yan, yung proportion na yan, equal naman sa, ano yung ating, kung 12 itong buong to, tapos dadaan siya at certain point here, sabihin na natin YD yan. Siyempre, 12 minus YD ito. Right? Okay. So, ang magiging Y coordinate or sa direction ni Y, yung maliit na right triangle is magiging 12 minus YD divided by yung malaking right triangle natin, negative 300 yung J direction niya. So, negative 300. Actually, dahil ang kinukuha nating analogy is measurement ng right triangle, dapat pala hindi natin sinasama yung negative. Kasi parang measurement niya ng sides. So, wag nating isama yung, although parehas lang din naman yung sagot, kasi magka-cancel out naman yung negative sign sa baba. Okay. Pero since kasi ginamit natin yung right triangle analogy, tanggalin na lang natin kasi measurements tong mga to and wala tayong negative measurements. And then itong proportion na to, going back, yung proportion na yan is parehas lang din kapag ang tutukuyin naman natin is sa Z direction. So dito pinangalanan natin, yung smaller right triangle, ang kanyang Z direction is ZD. And yung ating bigger right triangle, which is yung vector R, ang kanyang direction naman sa Z is 140. Yan, gagamitin na natin yung relationship na yan para makuha si YD and ZD. So basically, hatiin mo muna siya. So unahin natin yung merong YD. So 12 minus YD divided by 300 plus multiplication 3 times 300. Or of course, alam ko lang gagawin nyo dyan, magsi-shift solve lang kayo. Pero dahil medyo masipag ako, yan. 900 equals, distribute natin yung 105. 105 times 12.
1260.
260 minus 105 YD. And YD, saan na ba ako? Okay, lipat natin si 1260. equals negative 105 YD. Mag-divide tayo ng negative 105 YD on both sides. Or negative 105 lang pala, sorry. Okay, makukuha natin na yung value ni YD ay, ang gulo ko mag-solve, no?
3.43, sir. 3.43 meters.
Hindi ba negative 11?
11.14.
Oo, 11.14.
Sir, kasi 90 lang yung nalagay nyo, sir. 900 dapat, sir.
Oo nga, no? Sorry, 900. Ikaw naman, sumunod naman yung isa.
Ay.
Sorry din. 3.43 nga. Sorry po. So, 3.4. Actually, feet. Feet yun, feet. No? Then,
Dun sa
ganun
figure.
din po gagawin
Ganun
natin.
din.
Oo, susundin natin yung figure. Ganun din ang gagawin natin yun sa ZD. 3 all over 105 ang gagawin nating proportion equal sa ZD divided by 140. And therefore, ZD is equal to 3 times 140 over 105. Si 140 na lang yung ilipat mo sa, i-cross multiply mo sa kabila. And that is equal to
4 feet.
4 feet. Okay. Yan. Ano ba yung tanong? Ang tanong is, the coordinates of the point where the line of action of R intersects the YZ. So, ang coordinate ng point natin is, pagsamahin mo lang, wala siyang X kasi ZY plane yan. So, 0, 3.43, yun yung Y, tapos 4 yung Z. Ito yung coordinate. Ito yung point na yan, yung point D. Yan. Let's proceed to another example. So, this time, kinuha ko yung ibang sample problem sa libro nyo. Although, hindi ko alam kung parehas pa rin yung given nga. Ayan. So, hindi siya parehas ulit. Pero same lang yung concept ng problem. Pati na yung mga tao dyan. So, blue lang yung tao ko rito. Avatar sila. Meron tayong dalawang lalaki na gusto nilang igulong iyang batong yan or yung boulder, malaking bato, with the applied forces as shown. So, yung lalaki on the right uses siguro plank yan, na siningitan niya ng bato to serve as fulcrum na tinatawag. Then, para i-lift, mag-apply siya ng force dito, tulak niya to pababa, para yung force naman, dahil meron kang fulcrum sa gitna, makakapag-create ka ng couple. No? Pero, okay, i-explain pa lang natin yung couple. Pero, common sense naman, di ba? Kapag nilagyan mo ng fulcrum dyan, pag in-apply mo ng force pababa, parehas lang nung force na yon ang tutulak naman dun sa bato para gumulong. That is 300 pounds at an angle of 700 or 70 degrees. And then, yung isa naman, tinulungan siya, yung lalaki sa right, tinalian niya around, nag-apply siya ng force na 150 pounds at an angle of 20 degrees. Determine the magnitude and direction of the force. 2D lang ulit yung given. Okay, hindi siya 3D. So, mas madali kung gagawin nating graphical method lang. So, we are given force 1 which is equal to 170. Tama ba? 300, sorry.
300, sir.
300 pounds at dito ko na lang ata siya i-compute. Ito. So, unahin natin sa 300 pounds at F1. Kapag sa XY plane yan, again, magkakaroon yan ng X and Y component, tama? And yung angle na 70 is along or measured with respect to the x-axis naman. Kaya, pwede rin natin i-apply yung F1x kapag x, cosine, kapag y, sine. Yung F1 natin, yung 300 pounds. Okay? F1x would be equal to 300 magnitude ng F1 cosine ng angle na 70.
70 plus
Yung F1 sine naman is 300 sine ng 70. Okay, solve muna natin tong mga to. I-breakdown muna natin sa component nila bago tayo mag-add. Pero kung okay, sige, mamaya na lang pala. Mamaya na lang natin siya i-simplify kasi hindi siya eksakto. Okay, para mas malapit sa tamang sagot yung sagot natin. Ayan, in the same way, okay, meron ding x and y component yung F2 natin. And yung angle na 20 is also measured with respect to the x-axis. So for F2, ganun din po. F2x is equal to cosine pa rin. So 150 cosine 20 and then F2y is 150 sine ng 20. And as you can see naman, parehas naman sila ng direction. They are both in positive direction. Same is true with F1. They are both in positive direction. So walang problema. Okay, sir. O baka sabihin nyo, sir, yung pag-apply naman nila, hindi naman parehas, sir. Yung isa nandito sa likod. Tapos yung isa hinihila niya naman dito sa harap. Okay lang ba yun? Yun nga yung principle of transmissibility na tinatawag. No? As you can see, yung 150 meron yan line of action. Yan. Pwede mong iusog para maging, so that they will emanate at the same point. Or galing lang sila sa isang point. Principle of transmissibility. Imusog mo siya sa line of action. So, walang kaso. Kasi, trinit natin as a rigid body. Okay, basta't kapag rigid body yan, i-treat nyo as a single point kaagad. And then draw all the four systems. And now, pwede na tayong mag-summation. Summation ng forces along X. I-add lang natin. Summation ng forces along X is equal to F1x plus F2x, and that is equal to 300 cosine ng 70 plus 150 cosine ng 20. Summation ng f of x is equal to
243.56.
243.56. Ang unit natin ay pound force pa rin. Summation ng forces along y, of course, yung mga y components naman, F1y plus F2y, and that is equal to 300 sine of 70 plus 150 sine of 20, and that is equal to
333.21 pounds.
And therefore, yung resultant force natin, yung x component niya equal lang din do summation ng forces along x. Yung y component ng resultant is equal lang din sa y component or summation ng y component along summation ng forces along y. And therefore, the magnitude of our resultant force is equal to 243 sa x direction, 0.56 squared, plus sa y direction, 333.21 squared. That is equal to
412.74.
412.74 pounds. How about direction? Tangent lang. Arc tangent or inverse tangent ng y all over x. Laging y all over x yan. So, 333.21 all over 243.56. And that is equal to 243.21 53.84 degrees, syempre. Positive siya. Chut, chut, chut. Ayan na. Okay, tignan natin kung saan ako magdodrawing yan ngayon. Dito na lang. So, burahin ko na lang. 300 bar angle 70. Ito yon 300 approximately, that is 70 degrees. 300 pounds. Then next, 150 bar angle 20. So, saan yun? Kung maglalagay ka ulit ng imaginary line, imaginary reference line, ayan, 20 degrees, siguro mababa lang dyan. Tapos kalahati lang ng magnitude ni 150, ni 300. Kasi 150 pound lang siya. Ayan, tapos 20 degrees ito. So, ito na ngayon yung ating resultant. Gusto natin gamitin is yung tawag dito, triangle law. Ayan, sana naintindihan nyo yung drawing ko. Okay, ang kailangan nating hanapin is yung angles dun sa gitna. So, let's draw a perpendicular line. Perpendicular sa reference line. And we can say that this is 70. No, kung 70 yun, sorry, no. Ang transversal natin dyan, kung ito yung 70, nag-draw tayo ng perpendicular dito, tapos ito yung 20. Ayan. So, kung ito yung 70, nandito dapat yung 70. And dahil perpendicular to, ito yung 20. Tapos ito yung 20. Perpendicular yan, kaya 90 yan. So, ang magiging angle natin sa loob is 20 plus 20 plus 90, that is 130 degrees. We can now use the cosine law, which is r squared equals 300 squared plus 150 squared minus 2 times 300 times 150 cosine of 130 degrees.
Kita ko na sir, mali yung angle ko sir.
Mali ba yung angle? Ayan. In-equal mo sa 170. Sa 70.
Naging 150 din kasi sir na isulat ko sa angle sir.
Okay. So, ang sagot dito is 412. Tama ba yung naku natin? Tama. 412.7. No, be careful. Pwede nga apply. Okay. Maganda naman yung point ni RV. Pwede nating i-apply yung ating natutunan sa triangle law. Just be careful dun sa pag-form natin ng angle dito sa gitna. Okay, you can do whatever you want. Mag-drawing ka ng triangle, perpendicular lines, basta and apply mo yung geometric or laws ng geometry or concepts sa geometry, pero make sure to be careful. Kagaya nan, kanina muntik ko na rin in-equal ito sa 70. Ito. Pero as you can see, hindi kasi yan yung equal niya kasi ang transversal dapat alternate interior angles na tinatawag. Kung dalawang parallel lines cut by transversal. So, dapat yung 70 nandun sa kabila, not on the same side. Kasi, common sense din naman, kung sinebenti mo to, sinebenti ko rin yun, tapos right angle yan na 90, hindi na mag-equal sa 180 yung triangle natin. 230. Sobra na sa 180. So, makikita nyo pa rin. Okay. Applicable siya, no, yung triangle law kasi dalawa lang naman yung ating forces. Dalawang forces lang. Kaya applicable pa rin siya. I mean, Applicable naman yung triangle law sa many forces. Yun nga lang, kailangan mo pa kasi siyang 2 at a time yung triangle law. Okay. Any other concerns, mga kapatid?
Wala, sir.
Saan tayo? Yan. Itong problem 2.4 sa libro. Ayan, parehas na parehas siya. Okay? Via principle of transmissibility ulit, pwede nating iusog yung forces sa kanilang line of action para parang nagmumula sila sa isang point lang, no? Dito. Okay, again, assuming that the body is what? Rigid body. Meron tayong 25 kilonewtons applied at 45 degree angle. Meron tayong 30 kilonewtons sa direction ng exactly to the negative x direction, and then meron tayong third angle or third force, 40 kilonewtons applied at 60 degrees below the horizontal or the x-axis. So, negative 60 yan. Okay. Summation ulit tayo ng forces along x. Summation ulit tayo ng forces along y. Lista-lista lang tayo ng ano. Ano yung mga forces natin sa x? Tawagin natin yung 25 kilonewton na F1, si 30 kilonewtons F2, tapos 40 si F3. Si F1, meron siyang component na F1x, pero sa positive direction siya, kaya walang problema. And applying SOHCAHTOA, okay, 25, sige, sulat ko na lang, F1x muna, F2x, si F2, nasa x direction siya mismo, so F2 na lang. Tapos plus F3x, and that is equal to F1x is 25 cosine of 45. I-drop ko na or i-omit ko muna sa ngayon yung unit na kilonewton. Kasi pare-pares naman silang kilonewton, so walang problema. Automatic yung magiging final answer natin is kilonewton para hindi tayo sulat ng kilonewton dito. Yan yung F1x. Yung F2, 30 kilonewtons along the x direction pero negative kasi sa kabilang direction siya. So, minus 30. Wala siyang angle din. Tapos yung F3x, as you can see, 60 degrees. So, pero yung component niya, ito, yung component niya along y, yung F3x, ay along x, nasa direction pa rin ng positive x direction. Kaya plus pa rin. Plus 40 cosine of 60. So, ang summation ng forces natin along x ay equal sa
7.68, sir. Kilonewton.
7.68 kilonewtons. Okay, medyo binibilisan ko na. I mean, hindi ko na sinusulat lahat. Okay. For the summation of forces along the y direction, dalawa lang ang merong y direction dyan, yung F1 and F3. Kasi sa F2, nasa mismong x-axis siya or x direction. So, 0 yung kanyang y component. So, we have only F1y at saka F2y. Sa F1y, ang y component niya pataas. So, that is F1 cosine 45. So, 25 sine ng 45. Although, parehas naman yung sine 45 at cosine 45. Parehas yung value. And then, yung F2y, yung kanyang y component, it points downward naman. Or ang direction niya is the negative. Kaya minus 40 sine naman ng 60 that is equal to summation ng forces along y natin ay
Negative 16.96.
negative 16.96. Of course, that is kilonewtons. Okay, vector yung ano natin, yung R, naka-bold siya. So, kailangan natin ng magnitude and direction. But of course, ang kanyang magnitude ay square root ng summation ng forces along x squared plus summation ng forces along y. So, 7.68 squared plus negative 16.96 squared. Therefore, ang ating magnitude ay, come on, 18.62 kilonewtons. And then, ang kanyang direction is arctangent ulit po ng, ito na lang, hitan ko na lang yung sulat ko. Y all over x. So, negative 16.96. Huwag niyong kakalimutan ilagay yung negative, no? Okay. Ito din katalasan yung mali ng mga estudyante. Yung kilonewtons, pwede mo na siyang i-drop. I mean, wag mo nang isulat kapag magsasolve ka. Total parehas naman silang kilonewtons. So, wag mo nang ilagay na times 1,000 or times 10 raised to 3. Okay, parehas lang din naman yan, maka-cancel. So, ang arctangent po natin ay
Negative 65.64.
negative 65 point. So, pababa yung ating angle. Or yung ang direction niya. Pababa. I mean, tama. Dito sa third quadrant. Kasi mas malakas dito. So, itong tatlong force na yan, pwede mo palitan ng single force kasi concurrent sila. Na ang magnitude ay 18.62 at ang direction is 65 point or negative 65.64 degrees. So, yun. Kaya pa ba